Hello class, we are on Module 4, Creating the Human Resource Advantage. Module 4 includes two chapters, Chapter 9, Motivating the Workforce, and Chapter 10, Managing Human Resources. We will be working on Chapter 9 in our module, and the learning objectives include defining human relations and determine why its study is important. We're going to summarize some early studies that lay the groundwork for understanding employee motivation. We're going to compare and contrast the human relationship theories of Maslow and Hertzberg. We're going to investigate some theories of motivation and the expectancy theory, and we're going to describe some of the strategies that managers use to motivate employees. Please note that we're not going to be HR specialists when we finish this chapter, but I believe you'll have a better understanding of what motivates yourself and the people that work for you. The nature of human relations includes the behavior of individuals and groups in an organizational setting. I see human relations as the behavior of individuals as they relate to an organization and how they behave. And what I say that is because the whole thing about dealing with people is understanding how they behave and how they behave in a workplace and what motivates them in the workplace. So we're talking about how we're going to deal with people. This is all about people and what makes them tick from a psychological perspective, but really how it relates to work and how it is involved in the work. And I think when you get through this chapter, I'm hopeful that you'll find some of the tools in here helpful in your personal situation if you are working currently. What motivates people is important to know, but let's first start with some definitions. And it's going to be the drive that motivates a person, how they behave towards something specific. It might be a goal. It might be satisfying some need. But whatever it is, somebody has to be moved to do something and to get them moving in a direction that gets them to what they want. So, motivating the workplace. Human relations is a big deal because we care about the people that work for us as employers, and as employees, we care about the place where we work, and we want it to be something where we can get some type of satisfaction. And so human relations is going to be concerned about us, the real people who are out there working every day. They're going to understand how our goals are established, what is important to us. Obviously, we want to do a good job, but we want to also achieve some of our goals. And we want to perform well in our job. I mean, most people who go to work every day know we have to work, but we want to do well in the work. We want to feel good about the work. We want to feel good about the people that we're working with and the environment in which we have to be in 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So human relations is going to be, we'll have to have that skill of learning how to motivate people, employees particularly, and to stay engaged. To stay really, really engaged in the work, and that they can be committed to doing a good job and to be results oriented so that they can say that they have some role in achieving the organization's bottom line. The motivation process includes the need, the goal-directed behavior, and need satisfaction. We'll go over each one of these in my narrative very, very briefly, but I urge you to really look at these each one of these categories and understand how they relate to you in your workplace and what you're looking to do in the future with your own business aspirations, your business educational aspirations. We're going to start with morale, and we talk about morale all the time, but let's get the first thing set up is the definition. And morale for me is how I feel, and morale in the workplace is going to be how I feel about my job, how I feel about the people I work with, and how I feel about the employer itself. It's really going to be important because your attitude is going to really direct how well you perform in your job. So we have to make certain that that's something we never overlook, the morale of the employee. How do they feel? And it's a very big part of human relations because we have seen and observed in my own experience how important morale is and how it contributes to productivity. And we need that because we hire employees with skills that we need, and we need them to perform well. And if we, as in human relations employees, we need to make certain that we find out what their attitude is and how, if it's not positive, how we can change that. So we can't overlook the morale of the employees and why it isn't so important to productivity and the actual worker and their productivity and their loyalty to the company. And it is clear when people don't feel good about their job. they are more likely to be out. They are more likely to leave early. They are more likely to be costly, high rates of absenteeism. I mean, it's very important that people like what they do and like where they're at. And when you don't like where you're at, chances are you're going to find reasons to stay off. And that's very, very costly for an organization because most of the time, people like you and me work for smaller companies. We don't work for the big five. We don't work for the Walmarts of the world, generally speaking. So when we're out, the organization feels it. So if we can get the morale to be up and high and remain high on a consistent basis, we are assured that we're going to have high levels of productivity. We're going to have a high return to the stakeholders, and employee loyalty will be high. These are some examples of how we can boost morale. Respect. Now, again, respect, appreciation, promotion, and involvement. All of those things are important, but what do they mean to you as an individual? What does respect mean to you? What does appreciation mean to you? And it's more than just being paid well. Sometimes it means just knowing that if you're doing a good job, you're told that you're doing a good job. And just assume that you're doing a good job. It's the communication that's there. And being promoted. Sometimes promotion is very, very likely when your company is larger and have a lot of opportunities. So it's good to know that when you're there, you don't have to be in the same position or you don't have to leave in order to grow. You can actually grow within the organization, and that you can be involved in the growth of the organization. Individuals feel very committed to an organization where they are actively involved in the decisions that are being made and how that organization's structured, how they're moving, how they're growing, how they're making decisions, how they're doing different things that you suggest. Employees want to be involved. They want to know that they are appreciated, but they also want to know that the managers know that they are involved, that they're intimately involved, that they have a vested interest in this organization, and that's how we can keep the morale high. Now, as a leader or a manager, you need to know there are some things that can make it very, very positive and helpful for you to motivate your staff, to motivate your group, to motivate your team. Learning about using the words in the correct way, making sure people are very much aware of what you expect. And if you don't think that they understand, find out, talk to them. Keep the lines of communication is very, very open. It's very important because people need to be able to speak their minds and say what they see and how they understand it so that you know where they're coming from. But also you need to be able to provide the feedback so that you can say, yes, I understand what you're saying. You are correct. And this is the feedback I'm giving you based on both of our understandings of what what the expectations are from you. And from me as a manager. You need to talk about discipline. You need to talk about how people need to understand what the positive and negative consequences of an action is. People need to know how valuable they are. Sometimes when things happen that's adverse, they don't realize how vital their role is in a specific aspect of a process. When you talk to people and you show them how their work fits into the big picture, it really gives them a good idea of how important they are and the consequences of their work. And ignoring people, giving people a job and just throwing them out there to do the work is not going to be good. That's not a way to motivate. What you need to do is make time for people, spend time with people, get to know them, help them grow, show them that you're interested in them growing within the organization. That means develop them in any way that your organization can, because what you want to do is keep employees loyal to your firm. Set goals. And more than anything, keep the flow of communication. Always have that time where you and the other person can speak and talk and you can understand them. I think communication is going to be the tie that keeps all of these wonderful tools together. Employees want to be rewarded. Everybody wants to know that they feel good, that everyone feels good about what they've done. But rewards is such a powerful motivator. And sometimes it's money, but not always. But the main thing is that you can provide rewards that gives the employees some satisfaction, that they reached the goal, they did what they were supposed to do, they did it very well, and you know that they did it, and you want them to know that you know. So providing rewards is so, so important. This list is compiled by top 10 ways to retain great employees, and it's located in the humanresources.com website, and they are extremely useful. I don't think that they're all of them. I think that there are so many things, really depending on the organization and how big the organization may be. But more than anything, getting an idea of how you can retain good employees is really important. You really have to. It's hard to find good employees. It's hard to find people who are loyal to the firm, who has a great attitude about their work. And when you get them, you don't want to lose them. So these 10 ways to retain great employees is just a good way to start, in my opinion. For example, number 4, talent and skill utilization is another environmental factor that your key employees seek in the workplace. They need to make certain that their skills and their talents are used. They don't want anything that they have that's valuable to them, that's an asset to them, idle. They want it to be worked. They want it to be used. They want, like your body. You want to exercise your body so that your muscles won't atrophy. The same is true with your talent and your skills. They are to be used. Also, there's another, number 10 is really, really important. Staff members must feel rewarded, recognized, and appreciated. Now, this is about any type of relationship, but in the workplace, it's especially important because we spend so much time at our jobs. I mean, 8 hours a day for most people, and that's 40 hours a week. And sometimes, depending on your job and depending on what you do for a living, it may be more than that. So it is critical that people be rewarded for their good work. It is critical that they're recognized for what they do, because that's going to be the key. I think all of the others are fine, but this one, number 10, really hits home for me because many people have mentioned to me as an employer, I want some kind of recognition for the work I do. My salary is great, but there's got to be something, and you need to know that if you're trying to motivate people to do good work and to perform well on a job. There also talks about some perspective on motivation, and it's the one suggestion is the money is the motivator for all workers. Now, given the necessity that most of us have to go out and work and take care of our families, there is no question money is important. It is very important, but employers are starting to see that it is not the most important. You're going to see a shift. There has been a shift in the past decade, maybe longer, where people are looking, they will even deal with a salary that's not optimal for them if they can achieve some of their personal goals. Maybe it's experience, maybe it's an industry they wanted to tap into, maybe there is a specific job shifting that they accomplished, maybe they have achieved a high level of education that required them to take a little smaller paycheck. So it's becoming less likely that money is going to be the sole motivator for people. Now, there are going to be people in certain demographics that are going to be highly motivated for money, and they're generally the younger group. But even after a while, even the younger group will come to a place where money is not going to be enough to motivate them. So this theory, to me, the classical theory of motivation, is no longer true. It says people are going to work hard, and they're going to learn how to do things in a certain way, and they're going to have their salaries to be linked to their output, and all that's great. And it is very true in some cases. However, it is becoming less and less of a true statement and more of a generally might be true kind of thing. There are some other historical perspectives on employee motivation. That's the Hawthorne studies, and they talk about how human relations in the workplace, they have to be concerned about human relations, how people feel and work in a specific location. They also talk about how the physical conditions are going to stimulate high productivity. And that may very well be true, but there are times when some people don't actually work in a specific location. They're like salespeople or marketing representatives where they're always moving to different offices and talking to different people. How can this Hawthorne study have anything to do with their being motivated to work? So it's becoming more and more less true, particularly when you're talking about global working and people working from their homes and people working from remote locations. This is not always the true statement, although it has some truth to it. I think more and more with the workplace being so diverse and being so flexible, I don't know how true the Hawthorne studies is today. They just talk about how important the working conditions are. And again, if you're talking about assembly line, if you're talking about building something, that's very true. I mean, some organizations actually producing something, producing a car, producing some kind of product like shampoo or soap. That may very well be true. But we're talking now, we're technology savvy, we're dealing with services-oriented industries now, more and less towards the manufacturing. So the Hawthorne theory may have some credibility in certain industries, but it's becoming less and less prevalent an issue for our working employees. Now, the things that are important to employees and their satisfaction. Now, if we put salary to the side for a second and evaluate what really gave the employees satisfaction at their current workplace, they had some very specific answers. And the top of the list is work-life balance. This is a big issue for many people who have small children or who are married and have kids, and they want to be with their families. And it is important to them to be with their families. They don't want to work 60, 80 hours a week and they want to spend time with their families. The opposite side of the pole is going to be good working relationship with their boss. Now, don't misunderstand. Everybody wants to have a fairly good relationship with their boss, but it's no longer the driving force for an employee to be satisfied with their work. But it's important. Think about your job or a job you've had in the past year. What about that job gave you the most satisfaction? Does it meet any of these criteria? Opportunities to learn and grow, ability to accomplish a goal, camaraderie with coworkers, or good relationship with a boss, or work-life balance? Or is it something else? Think about that. I mean, it's very interesting to see the shift, because years ago it was about being the servant for the boss, giving the boss what he wanted. Everything was about the boss, but now it's no longer the case. Employees are really looking for a job where they can still pay their bills and still have a life that they want, that's private and wonderful for them. So as we look at these theories of motivation, think about how it all matters to you and how it all fits in your world, in the world of business. Maslow theory or hierarchy just talks about everyone's needs. What is important to them? What do they need? And what they're going to always seek out to meet those needs, whether it be physiological, social, and security needs, or esteem needs, or self-actualization needs. These needs need to be dealt with, because that's going to be something that drives people to do what they do, why they do it, when they do it. And the security needs is going to be how to keep themselves from harm. Their social needs is going to be companionship and being with other people. And esteem is going to be respect from themselves and respect from others. And their basic human need of being satisfied with food, water, shelter, and something to wear. The self-actualization needs are going to be more about being the best that you can be, something that's going to be your personal driving force. Some people are highly ambitious, but they want to be best at whatever it is. So another factor we can talk about, or theory, is going to be about hygiene factors and motivational factors. And his theory has the Hertzberg theory focus on the work setting and not necessarily the content of the work. It's talking about being comfortable with the conditions of the work, the policies that are good for you and helpful, and security that you are provided. And there's nothing more important than being in a place where you can feel comfortable and safe, and know that your job is secure. You don't want to live in uncertainty. That's very, very difficult. But it also focuses on the content of the work, in that people want to receive some kind of recognition. They want to be involved, and they definitely want to be responsible for their work, so that advancement can be something that they can actually aspire to. McGregor's theory, X and Y, talks about people don't like to work, and the only reason why they do work is because they have to do work. And for a long time, that was very true, particularly in the 1900s, because people had to work. They had indentured servants and all sorts of people who really had no choice but to work. They were controlled, directly threatened with punishment. They had to work. And that may very well be true, but I certainly don't think it's the case now. Most people that I know of and I've met in my 20-some years, they work because they love it. They do receive a compensation for their work, and it does pay their bills, but they choose the work that they do because of their love for it and their desire to be good at it. But theory Y, contrast to that, is going to be more humanistic, and it's talking about people like to work in under proper conditions. People will seek out the responsibility. The theory Y is more closely to the 21st century worker. They want their social esteem and actualization needs met. They want to find a job, and they're going to give them that. They sometimes will compromise on the salary if they can have that. People are more self-centered, and they're more interested in what's best for them, and they're going to look for a job that gives them that. And they will compromise things about job and location to get those needs. So theory Y is more of the 21st century worker, and it's more leaning towards I would say, the millennial, because they are most certainly interested in meeting their own personal needs and being happy about what they do, and they want to be doing what they want. They want to enjoy what they want to do, and they will seek it out. So people want to work and achieve an objective, but they definitely want to have some self-direction. They are independent thinkers. They want people to know that they're independent thinkers and they know how to think and they know how to rationally use their intelligence to do a good work. They are creative people. They have the ability to solve organizational problems. So communication and the ability to be involved intimately with the organization is critical for them because they're not going to be happy. So what we want to make certain as leaders is to make use of those individuals and their potential. We want to not see them as a threat, but see them as an opportunity to help them to be the best and to be loyal to the company. Um, Theory Z is going to be a philosophy that stresses people, employees' participation in all aspects of the decision making. They want to be critically involved. And this is going to be the hands-on managers, the ones who really want to get their hands dirty. They don't feel like they're doing anything right until they're absolutely engrossed in working in that organization and the part of the trust. It's about intimacy. It's about really getting down and out in the organization, feeling like you own it, something that's yours, and the ownership. And this is another theory that I think it talks to the generation of today. They really want to get involved. It has been so important for these people to truly show their worth by absolutely engrossing themselves in their mind, their time, they're into the work. And they are probably the most motivated and ambitious people to work for. Now, these are going to be just different types of styles that Americans, Japanese, and other workers have. Now, this is just definitely a survey, and it is not necessarily applicable to you, but think about these different categories and think about which one really, responds to you, which one you have observed in others, and see how it all fits into how you're thinking about business and how you're thinking about being in an environment where you can be yourself and you can enjoy your work, and what kind of role that you would probably play in all of this. But think about your business experience, your job work experience, and see how it relates to you, if it relates to you at all. Now, there are a number of organizations within the United States where they use the Theory Z. And again, we're talking about an ever-changing and evolving workplace. In business, it's not the same this year or the next. So organizations are still using these type of theories to engage their employees because they know how important it is. And one of the things that they have done is they created more work groups or work teams, quality assurance teams. Why? Because people work together in teams. They learn from people who are diversely different from them. They talk about how to do their jobs better, how to improve quality. All of these types of things really does work well under the Theory Z. People want to be involved in their work. You're spending 40 hours every single week. You're doing this for years at a time. It's a tremendous amount of time and effort, and the Theory Z is truly something of what we are as U.S. citizens, mostly because we work so hard and we work so long. The United States, I think, has been notoriously accused of having employees working, and never really taking time to enjoy. Other countries where they do work hard, but they know when to stop and enjoy. But Americans generally are in your face, getting dirty, doing everything possible to work hard and to put everything into their work. And they're highly motivated, highly ambitious people who are very involved in the companies that they work for. And this is a very unique skill that we have absolutely just flung into as U.S. citizens and people, business people. We just work hard. And so Theory Z does characterize a lot of us who are out there working, who work more than 40 hours a week, who oftentimes take moments that we should be with our families and still trying to work when we're actually spending more time than our job requires to get the work done, simply because we love it so much. But so there's nothing bad about who we are, but I think we should have a balance. But in the end, this nation, the equity theory, the assumption that motivation does not depend on how much a person wants something, but how much he or she likely to get it. I don't necessarily agree with this expectation theory, but it may have some relevance to you. Think about these theories. Think about how they are relevant to you or not. One of the things that I've learned over the years, positive reinforcement, this has implications most certainly in your private life. If you have children, if you have relationships, people in your personal relationships want to know how important they are. And And what you want to do in the relationship is see those kind of behaviors that you love so much to be continued, to do it over and over again. If you see it, those individuals do those kind of things over and over again. And what you do, possibly, maybe, inherently, is to reinforce those kind of behaviors that you want to see. The same is true in the workplace. Employers want to see good behavior. They want to see a job well done. They want jobs that are in a specific um, projects completed. They want projects completed on time. So they want to see these kinds of positive things reinforced. They want to be able to provide you some kind of feedback mechanism that will reinforce that positive thing that you did. That it shows how important it is. That defines the kind of behaviors that are appreciated. The kind of thing that you will see from the employer to make sure that they know that, I saw what you did. You finished this project on time. It was highly accurate. It got the job done, and they want to reinforce those kinds of behaviors. So they do things like to let you know, or to assure you that this is something I want to continue to see. And you may think about it in your own way, in your own workplace. How can I, create a positive reinforcement for individuals who work under my charge? And here we're going to just talk really about how can we motivate people to do good things. How do we modify their behavior to encourage them to do the good things, to see the good consequences, how they want to be evaluated as a positive that will get them closer to getting promotions or any kind of rewards that they're looking to achieve. So some of the things that you can use, you can also just say that you're gonna let people know that that the behavior that's gonna be good, we're gonna reward those behaviors when they're repeated. But we're gonna make sure that there are consequences when things are done incorrectly. And the main thing here will be consistency and honesty with the people you're working with. But the most important thing is, if you want something you want an action that your employee is doing to be repeated, you're going to make sure you reward that. And you're going to make certain that there's something that the employee is doing that's not right. You're going to make sure that you deal with that immediately so that it's not done again. The most important thing is to ensure that the communication is open, that people know what's expected to them, and that the feedback mechanism is immediate and is honest and it is very clear. Another way you can also motivate people is to rotate them to different jobs. Sometimes that's not always possible, but if you have that opportunity to rotate individuals, it does give them opportunity to grow and to grow professionally, and to become more satisfied with their job, and then also would avoid boredom and apathy. Job enlargement would be to give them more tasks, give them more complex tasks. And that happened to me years ago when I was starting my field of accounting. My first job was to be processing accounts payable, but then they liked my work so much, they obviously gave me a raise, but they then enlarged my work by giving me payroll to process. So it gave me great motivation to continue to work hard, because I knew if I do work hard and I do give accurate work, that they will give me more responsibilities, and it would obviously help me later on in my career. Finally, job enrichment, and this is just motivating them through achievements and awards and advancement. You could also motivate employees by giving them flexible time, letting them work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day type of thing. Particularly when you're talking about men and women with families, they may want to have a day off or two during the week, just so it can be with them or to get the rest that they like. Or having a compressed week, meaning that they will work do a 4-day work week for 40 hours, and every other week they get a day off. It's just all about getting individuals some flexible strategies to let them know how important they are to us, but they also have some things that they can do and that gives them some satisfaction. Job sharing is another one where two people can work part-time. And again, this is also for people who can do this and organizations who can accommodate. And these are just strategies and ideas. It's all about finding the balance that's for the person that's working with the organization and the organization itself. But all in all, we want to make certain that we provide individuals with some strategies that make their working with the company as successful and pleasurable as they are productive and loyal to the company. So why is it important to motivate people? Because it does increase productivity. It fosters loyalty. it does have an influence on their pay and their training opportunities, and so they can grow. And because of the nature of their relationship with their supervisors and in their work, it does give them a sense of being involved and being important in relationships. And it's just all about trying to find that balance where people can do their best job and what does motivate them to do the best job. Now, when we're talking about different times and the motivations during recessions, when jobs are being cut, it is very important to maintain employee morale when times are tough. And I think the most important thing when you're talking about morale being compromised because of economic adversity, communication is going to be the key. You're going to be, if you're honest with individuals, if you tell them what's going on, if you do everything possible in the most efficient way to keep your staff rewarded and paid and compensated, they will work hard for you. The most important thing is keeping them informed, never ever hiding anything. But employees want to know what's going on. They can handle it. They want to handle it. We have to trust them that the information that we give them, they will know the truth and be able to perform at a high level despite the economy being very difficult or jobs being cut. But in the end, the best thing that we can do as employees is to keep the communication open and being honest with people. And then at the end, hopefully that would be the most important thing to keep loyal employees loyal. These are just examples of 10 companies that were considered the best organizations to work for. Why? Because they provided various things that those individual employees wanted. And here are some examples here. It's not always about money, but sometimes it's about just being stable, where there's no layoffs during a recession. People are concerned about that. They want to have something that they can rely on. That could be, they don't have to be afraid. They have a security, some security. Some employees might be, they want to be motivated because they have a generous pay, or they have parking lots and free meals. I mean, I used to work for an organization, and they provided us free lunches because they knew, one, the salaries weren't high, and secondly, the places of restaurants in the area were very far away. So they provided free lunches for us, and the lunches were healthy and great. And again, these are just little things that organizations can do to show that they care about their employees and they want to keep them motivated to do a good work. So as we conclude the chapter, think about why managers need to understand the needs of their employees, really. And if you could look at it from both sides, as a manager, if you are one, and as an employee, and think about those different theories. What do you think about the theories and how relevant they are to the workplace? Which one really resonate with you and your personal experience? And as always, thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you next time.